When my grandfather could no longer remember my name, he could still remember the sea. He had been a fisherman for 50 years before the fog rolled into his mind and refused to lift, and by the end he did not know his own house, his own children, the year, the season. But put him near water and something ancient in him woke up. So on his bad days, which became most days, I would drive an hour to the coast and we would sit on the same bench above the same gray beach and he would tell me stories, the same stories, about storms and nets in a boat named after my grandmother. He did not know he was telling them to his grandson. He thought I was a young Dak and he was training, and honestly I let him think it, because in that story I get to be someone he was proud of, and in the true story I was just the boy whose name he had misplaced. He taught me not I already knew. He warned me about weather from decades ago. He told me over and over that the ocean does not hate you, it simply does not know you are there, and the sooner you respect that the longer you live. I wrote it all down in a notebook I kept in the glove box. Every version of every story, the small differences between the tellings, the days he laughed and the days he wept without knowing why. Near the end he mostly went quiet. We would just sit, his hand in mine, watching the tide do the one reliable thing left in his world. On his last clear afternoon, out of nowhere, he squeezed my hand and looked at me with eyes that were suddenly, terribly present, and he said my name. My whole name! The one he had not spoken in 2 years. Then he said, "Thank you for taking me to the water. I did not know I remembered you, but the sea did." He was gone within the week. At the funeral I could not speak, so I read from the glove box notebook instead one of his storm stories, in his cadence, and the whole room of weathered old fishermen wept because they knew that boat, they knew that man, they had known him before the fog. I scattered him where the bench looked out, on a calm morning, and the water took him the way it takes everything eventually, without malice, without knowing. I go back sometimes and sit on that bench alone. I tell the stories out loud to no one, so they do not disappear the way he did. And every time the tide comes and I think about how a mind can forget a face but a body can remember the sea, how love can outlive memory, how the last thing to leave us might be the first thing that ever made us feel alive.